Okay, there we are. Just like that. We are all of the person are watching us.
Hi, person.
It's a bot.
Yes, exactly.
Hi, bot.
Actually, I think it's me. But hey, there we go. So,
Hi,
hello,
Colin.
my name is Colin. Welcome to episode 33 of Roll by Roll's Tavern Talk, a show where we, the Roll by Roll gang, discuss various aspects of running a great D&D campaign based on our experiences with D&D 5e and our current adventures in Emathan homebrew campaign. So joining me tonight from the Roll by Roll crew, we've got Egan, who plays Douglin. Welcome, Egan.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Max, who plays Kogon. Welcome,
Howdy
Max.
doody.
Okay, so before the new year, and Happy New Year, guys. Before the new year, we did a Monster Mash #1 and talked about some of our favorite monsters. Of course, that was lots of fun because monsters are awesome. So, we could probably continue the show for the rest of its existence talking about monsters, but we're only going to do one more monster session. So we'll talk about a few more of our favorite monsters, but of course, gentlemen, I have an opening question for
Oh,
you.
boy.
Oh snap.
All right.
Trivia again?
Yeah. So, what do you think? And I will preface this. This is debatably, but what do you think is considered to be the very first D&D monster? And I'll give you a hint. This is going into the way back
Okay.
days of Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson.
I'm gonna think boar.
A boar?
Yep.
Okay.
Or like wild pig or something like that. But I'm
Yep.
pretty sure it's called a boar. Wild
I'm going to
boar.
go with dragon.
Dragon. Yeah, you would definitely think so with the game being called Dungeons and Dragons. So I did a bunch of research on this because I was actually quite interested to kind of get an idea of um it is the first monster is widely considered to have been the Belrog.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
Balrog?
wow.
Yeah, so as it was depicted in, I'm going to read the little
Wait,
blurb.
but what does first monster mean? Like the first one that they created, or the
Yeah,
first one that
so I'll just
appeared
kind of read
in
it
a
here and you'll understand what
module?
I'm
Or
saying.
okay.
He's going to explain it, Max. Let him explain it, all right?
Sorry.
So the first D&D monster is widely considered to be the Belrog, as depicted in the earliest drafts of the game that would become Dungeons and Dragons. When Gary
Oh,
Yes.
Gygax and David Arneson created D&D in the early 70s, they drew heavily from Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, and other fantasy literature.
yeah.
So in those early iterations, the Belrog was one of the monsters included in the game. However, due to potential copyright issues, the name Belrog was later changed to the creature that evolved into Balor, which is a demon of D&D lore. The demon appears in Dungeons and Dragons supplement Eldritch Wizardry 1976, marking its place as one of the earliest monsters tied directly to the game's development. So, 1972, I think, is when the AD&D Monster Manual came out, and I mean there was lots of what we would call now the standard monsters in that, but again, that's why I said it's debatably, but I thought that interesting. The Belrog, I just over Christmas I watched all of the Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and the Lord of the Rings again. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
yeah,
love. Yeah, I'm looking at the, those first three booklets, which technically were the first D&D. It just said Dungeons and Dragons. There was three little, I still remember I played on that. That's how old I am. And they do have a dragon on one of them. I'm just saying. So I'm
yeah.
Good
sticking with
point.
mine.
All right. Let's get into monsters we want to talk about here. Egan, why don't you kick us off on this one with one of your two monsters for the night?
You got it. All right. I'm going to start off with the Rakshasa. The
And just so
Rakshasa.
everybody knows, it has to be said that way, or it just
It doesn't hit the same unless you do that. Okay, so the Rakshasa. I mean, it's basically a tiger man, let's face it, right? But the thing that I like about these, and I'll go into some of the powers that it has, this is an ideal big bad evil guy that you would like to have show up multiple times. They are incredibly difficult to track. They have innate abilities to disguise self. They have invisibility. They can detect thoughts. They're very cunning creatures, and they also are very strong in manipulating, the characters and stuff like that. But because of their, let's call it escapability, and the fact that they can sort of make the party dance a little bit.
Mm.
I think that this is a really good type of monster to throw at the party, not just for a one and done, but something that's like oh, you foiled my plans, but he gets away type of thing because he has so many resources to do that. They are like really tough against magic as well. If I recall correctly, they cannot be detected or affected by anything less than a sixth level spell.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
that's big.
yeah, yeah, even though the CR I think is 13, which is solid. That
Sure.
that you're not, I mean, you're bordering on having sixth level and seventh level spells in hand and stuff like that. So again, I love the fact that it can be used as like an overall bad guy and recurring, and they have freaky hands. Their
Yeah.
hands are backwards.
Backwards. Yeah.
So that just by itself is just unnerving. I've seen
Very
pictures
cool.
of it, like they're holding something this way. It's wrong. So, and they're evil. Like they're not just tiger people. They are literally lawful
No.
evil.
Yeah.
So,
They're demons, aren't they?
I think
Infernal of some type.
yeah, they're fiends. Medium
Fiends.
fiend, lawful evil.
Yeah.
110 hit points. But most, they're not really there to exchange, melee blows with you. They've already plotted and they're going to have things done, and most likely they're going to try to dominate your partner to kill you. So I like them. I think they're a really good long-term type of bad guy.
Cool. I can be honest, I have never DM'd one. That's one monster I've never. So look out next session. Um,
Oh shit! What have I done?
Shucks. Doesn't really fit our world, but you
no,
never know.
no. Max, what do you got for your first monster tonight?
All right, first monster tonight. We're going with the classic Disney villain flavor of hags.
Nice.
Hags are, you know, basically that whole evil witch kind of theme. The grotesque looking ones, right? There's in the monster manual, there's three types: green hag, night hag, and sea hag. They're all intensive magic users and have magical abilities. And what's really cool about them is that there's a mechanic for them to be in a coven, and it raises the CR beyond what it would be if it was just three other creatures of the same type together. And they get the ability to share their spell casting improves as well. They share spells, these advanced spells that they can use. Um, but I think they're great because it's the type of, and my second monster is going to follow the same sort of vein, but they're the type of monster that um, allows the DM to actually really just lean into their own strategy because hags are smart and they are cunning. And so if a DM's worried about like, am I like power DMing against the party too much? Do you know what I mean? With a hag, it's like your excuse is there. Like, no, they're smart. They're gonna do like the optimal things, they're gonna try to like take over people, deceive, all sorts of like dastardly, underhanded, powerful things that they can do. You have like full force to just do it as you will. So very cool. And the
Yep.
templates, once you read through them, you could theme, like you could create your own hag based on the things that are in here. Like it'd be easy to reflavor stuff with other similar abilities and stuff too. So very fun.
Yeah, the campaign had a little encounter with a hag early on when you were trying to collect Ezra to
That's right,
go
the
and
young
yep,
girl.
yeah,
We
hags are
silver-tongued our way out of that one.
Yeah.
yeah, indeed. All right, so I guess
What
that
about you, Colin?
Yeah, what
yeah,
about
that
you,
takes
man?
so there are so many awesome monsters.
Yep.
My first one that I'm going to go with is Beholders. Love, absolutely freaking love Beholders, right?
Yeah, they're
Because
freaking awesome.
um,
Oh
they are
man.
just they're one of one of the longer standing version after version monsters that have been there. In I'm sure you guys remember in the advanced Dungeons and Dragons monster manual, it was just like a ball with these, like it was literally just a ball with an eye and some stalks. The artwork back then didn't really do Beholders the justice that they do nowadays, but um, pretty powerful. They're
Pretty powerful.
a
Yeah,
CR13, but excuse me, the two big things for me, and I guess anyone that plays them, anti magic cone.
Oh
So
my God, so
they
good.
can with their main eye. They can basically cast an anti magic field, 150-foot cone, and they kind of choose every turn. They can move it wherever they want within the combat. So as soon as they know who your caster is, they are just focused on that caster, taking them out of the play, and then the eye rays, like
Oh my God.
oh,
huge, right? We've got a
disintegrate.
charm ray, paralyzing ray, fear ray, slowing ray, uh,
And
enervation ray,
The dreaded
the
yeah,
favorite.
disintegrate.
yeah,
God damn
telekinetic
it.
ray, sleep ray, and then a petrification ray, and then you get into the two doozies, disintegration ray and the death ray. Like
Oh,
huge, huge.
telekinesis is a doozy too. I used the beholder telekinesis to. They were fighting on the top of a clock tower, and I threw one of my parties off the edge of the clock tower. Didn't kill them, but it took them like 4 rounds to get back into the fight to come back up and help them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, beholders, man.
Oh yeah, and
Damn badass.
and they're the in terms of being for the DM, they are incredibly intelligent, 17
Yeah.
intelligence,
Yeah. You got
um
to play them right.
yeah,
You got to play
15
them right.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Like but they are massively paranoid and massively narcissistic and just so much fun to play. Like,
Yeah.
because it's just going to be this. I'll read this little thing in here because I love this because it kind of, to me, it wraps it up here. One glance at a beholder is enough to assess its foul and otherworldly nature. Aggressive, hateful, and greedy, these aberrations dismiss all other creatures as lesser beings, toying with them or destroying them as they choose. A beholder's
Awesome.
spheroid body levitates at all times. Its great bulging eyes sit above a wide, toothy maw with the smaller eye stalks that crown its body twist and turn to keep its foes in sight. Um, and then there's this make believe quote or whatever it says. Every beholder thinks it is the epitome of beholder kind, and the only thing it fears is that it might be wrong. I just love that.
Dude.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a
They're so good.
really like it could easily be your big bad end guy, right? Like a
Yeah.
beholder,
Oh,
depending on the
Oh my God.
campaign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just there's so many fun stories around beholders and that. I
they're
just
they're almost more iconic to Dungeons and Dragons than dragons.
indeed,
Like
indeed,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
anyone, you have a new person playing Dungeons and Dragons, and you bring a beholder in, even if they don't know the stats of the beholder, they know they should be fucking scared.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
veterans know they should be scared. Like it's a perfect
It is.
monster.
It is a very iconic D&D
Yeah.
monster, right?
Can I also mention that I love what Lost Mines of Fendelver did?
Oh,
because all the people, the veterans that see the other one are
spectator.
shitting their
Yeah.
pants,
Yes.
right? Here you are,
Wondering.
like maybe third level, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, oh yeah, you see this glowing orb with eyes sticking, and all the people that know about, it, they're like, oh, we're dead, we're dead,
Yeah.
we're dead.
It's
And
over.
oh no, this is the stepchild of one of the beholders, so don't worry, you're gonna hopefully survive this. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the campaign, I had
Zombie
the
beholder.
pleasure of getting to use a beholder zombie, which was kind of fun. I mean,
Yes.
Also
really
dangerous.
about half the power of a beholder. It only has what has it got? Paralyzing ray, fear
Got
ray.
disintegrate.
It's got disintegrate though, so I mean, you roll your d4, see what happens, but it is a monster that could on without you as the DM, without really wanting to cause a lot of mass damage. Sometimes it's a creature that could very much do that.
Oh yeah, I wonder how many TPKs come from a beholder.
Oh,
It's got to be up
Oh
there.
yeah.
or at
Like
least a party member.
oh yeah, here's an eye for you. There's one for you. Oh, I'll take the yeah. Oh man,
If it
fun,
can,
fun, fun.
even with that anti-magic field, if it can keep enough distance between itself, a 150-foot cone starts to spread out a
Yeah.
long way. You can
Oh
get a
yeah.
lot of that party in there, right?
You have to spread out,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
means that so even if not everyone's in the cone, it also means that your party are out of range of each other a lot of the time. Your cleric's gonna have a hard time going over and healing someone. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just
yeah,
anything like that,
Yeah.
paladin auras, whatever. You know what I mean? It gets brutal.
Yeah. Little a hint for DMs. If you're gonna use a beholder, make sure you have a big map. You need lots of squares
Yeah,
on
yeah, lots
there.
of space. Yeah.
yes, yes,
All right,
yeah.
enough about beholders. Egan, what do you got?
We should just make
I,
this the beholder
Yeah,
episode.
oh, they're just awesome. Love them.
They are.
so I am gonna go the other direction instead of more all-powerful TPKs. Stone Cursed. These are a tricky encounter. And the thing I love about them is that I think, especially for early on, like, this is a lower level encounter. And you usually don't want to try to kill, parties that early, right? They're just trying to get their feet. But this is a great one that they can get messed up without a permanent death. So I'm basically gonna describe. They First of all, you are going to walk up on basically, let's say, a garden with petrified statues. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Medusa.
Medusa.
Or a basilisk,
Yep.
right?
Oh,
So
well, garden.
now all of a sudden, the party is looking around, not at the statues. They're looking for a basilisk or a Medusa. And these things can stay motionless. They can't be detected. Like I think to even see them move or something like that, it's like a DC 18 intelligence check.
Hmm.
Yeah, a DC 18 intelligence check to discern that the stone cursed isn't a statue, and that's if you even pay attention, right?
Yeah.
So they're most likely going to get a surprise on you, right? They're most likely going to be surrounding you even before you know it. And the thing that is why I think it's such a cool early, it's a CR1. They only have about 19 hit points, so not, overwhelming. But one of their attacks is Petrifying Claws. So basically, solid +5 to hit, standard reach. It does, 12 points of damage, but the target must succeed on a DC 12 con save or it begins to turn to stone and is restrained until the end of its next turn. And then it repeats the saving throw. If it does not succeed on the second saving throw, they are petrified for 24 hours. So they're not going to die, but they're going to be hanging out for a while. So
Someone
anyway,
smashes it.
yeah, I think it's a really cool low level early fight where you can kind of, if you
Snare
got
them.
a little arrogant party that thinks they could beat everything in their
Yeah.
first, it's a nice little way to kind of trick them and have a fun without, TPKing the party. So
Hmm.
imagine half a dozen of these and they just have to touch you and you start to, turn
That's
to
pretty
stone.
cool.
Yeah, so again, a really sort of hidden gem, if you will. I really like these. So that's my other beast of the day.
Sweet.
Cool. Stone Cursed. I'm going to be
Yes.
honest with you. I don't think I was even that aware of Stone Cursed before.
Are they in the MM or are they in one of the supplementals?
Let's see, where is it? It should be the
they're in Monsters of the
months.
Multiverse, but I don't know
Yeah,
what they were in before that.
yeah. I don't. Maybe Mordenkainen presents monsters. Yeah,
Yeah,
Monsters in the Multiverse. Yeah,
yeah,
So yeah, because so there's Mordekaiser's Tomb of Foes. So Monsters of the Multiverse, I think, is like a
yeah.
culmination of monsters
It took kind of
from
all the
from
monsters and put them together.
yeah.
Yeah,
well, from the different that were from different modules that were made
Hmm.
specifically for modules, like Adventures of
Yeah.
the Sword Coast and whatever Strahd and stuff like
It
that. I
just
think they
yep.
put them in.
collected
All
all of it.
together in
Yeah.
one book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Max. What do you got? Number 2 monster of the night.
All right, I'm going for a classic here, Hobgoblins.
Nice.
And what I like so much about Hobgoblins, remember I was saying we're in DM strategy territory. Hobgoblins, they're goblinoids, but they are extremely intelligent, disciplined, and militant. So they are excellent, in my opinion. If you have like a cool, like sweeping campaign, like you're fighting for a kingdom and there's like armies and stuff like that, a hobgoblin army would be epic. You could make them the core of your uh uh military, like the leadership, for example, you know what I mean? And they could have ogres and giants in there, all sorts of beasts. It says in here that they're beast trainers, you know. Um, Even just like a little platoon of hobgoblins with like a captain and some hobgoblins is pretty challenging. They all wear like heavy armor or half plate, and sometimes you have shields. So you're looking at ACs, even at low level, of 18, 17, up to 20 even, you know what I mean? And like that makes them hard to hit. And yeah, like I said, highly strategic. They hate elves. You could like just be like, if there's an elf in the party, it's totally legit to just zoom in on that elf and just take him out right away. You know what I mean? Like, there's no bias there as like DM bias. You know, people get upset and stuff like that. Well, hey, it's in the lore, man.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
me.
it's said in the book.
You know, so
Not me,
again,
man.
I just like some of these because you know it it can be tough if you're on the DM side, like to understand, like, are you being fair with like how these things should act and what they should be doing? Is it too challenging? Am I challenging enough? All that sort of stuff. Hobgoblins, again, kind of fall into that realm of like whatever you can come up with to make things hurt for the party, you know, it's they have the capacity to do that. They're not stupid and they know how to strategize. So if you're someone who likes to, you know, be more strategic instead of like, oh, well, what would this monster do? You know, it's like, no, this monster would do whatever devious plan you've got in your brain. So go for it. You know what I mean? So
And I
yeah.
mean, they're a great uh, monster in terms of, you know, if you need some sort of army thing to
Yeah.
Yeah.
work with,
Some
right?
meat to
Because
throw
that's
at the
what they
party.
are. Like they're
Yeah.
just this
And
But
armor.
smart.
there's some cool like story options here too because they are so smart. Um, you could have a band that's kind of maybe gone rogue and they're actually good guys or more neutral, and you could, you know, there's a lot of options that I think are fun with hobgoblins just because of that. They are like a step above your classic chaotic sort of like goblin and ogre and things like that. So
Yeah,
good times.
cool. Um, yeah. So my final monster I'm gonna go with is trolls.
Oh yeah,
Just love trolls.
classics.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a big thing for me. Again, with like they are not maybe the most flashy monster that there is, but there's just this thing, you know, especially, you know, you were talking about Egan with lower level parties, right? Trolls very often in the pre-made modules are the one of the very first monsters that a party comes upon, where because of its regenerative capabilities and things like that, they have to kind of go about fighting this thing a little bit differently than they normally would.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it three attacks again for lots of lots early on, lots of lower level parties. Might be the first time they come up against something like it's a CR5. It's not huge, but it's got three attacks, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, holy smokes, like that.
It's
There's
usually like a first boss fight type of thing,
yeah,
right?
there's
Yeah.
two trolls, and that's a lot of attacks against our party, right?
That's a lot of
Hard hitting
trolls.
attacks too.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Like,
And
and
you think it's down and it's not.
yeah, and it talks about obviously it's got its regeneration. It regains 10 hit points at the start of its turn, as long as it doesn't take any acid or fire damage. Um, when in sort of the description, I love this is one of the things I really love about trolls is
variant.
um, smashing a troll's bones and slashing through its rubbery hide only makes it angry. A troll's wounds close quickly if the monster loses an arm or a leg or even its head. Those dismembered parts can sometimes act with a life of their own. Like, so you got the arm that's crawling around trying to do things.
Yeah.
The troll can even reattach a severed body part. Like,
Yeah.
how fun is that to, they
Yeah.
lop the head off this thing. The party, yeah, and this thing just waddles over and picks up its head and plops it back on again. Like, so much fun you could have with that sort of a regeneration ability,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Now there have developed over time lots of other types of trolls, as you guys may have
Yeah, I
noticed.
wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at, there was ones here. I was like, there's an ice troll, venom troll, rot troll, spirit troll,
Spiritual's cool.
and a little troll known as a dire troll, which you guys got to have two little skirmishes with.
Yes.
When I saw this thing, I was just like, "Oh, I have to use this." Like, this is because it's also thematically it really worked because of where you were. Right, you're right on the edge of the Shattered Lands. A lot of weird, chaotic magic.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah.
easily to write the story around why this thing is here, why it keeps coming back. You can't seem to kill it.
It's multi-mouths and things like that.
Yeah, with instead of dying, it's just mutating more and more every time it takes a wound.
That was awesome.
But that whirlwind of claws, that is huge, right? So
Yes.
first of all, that dire troll, 5 attacks. That's big. 100 and it's 15d12 plus 75 hit points, right? So like your average 172. And that whirlwind of claws 8d10 damage. Like that is big.
Dragon breath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is big.
Yeah. And certain characters love to like run directly into that.
Well, yeah, because that's what they're meant
Yeah,
to do.
because that's what they do.
No. You're not a dragon man unless you throw yourself directly
Unless you
into
get
the
put in a troll blender. By the
Yeah.
way, that's really what it's called. Colin,
Yes,
come
the
on.
troll blender.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It went into blender mode.
Holy moly! God,
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was
it gonna take
that
us
dire
out.
troll was a lot of fun to utilize, but you guys thumped it
Trollnado.
both times. Yeah, so cool monsters.
Yeah, good
So many, and I know we all had to fight not to talk about dragons because they're just so obvious. Dragons are awesome.
Well, can we also, though, I know we've said it in past and we even had a whole session on it, but just again, reminder out there for you DMs, new DMs, do look into what these monsters can do. Don't just have them be all zombies that walk right into an axe and die.
Yeah.
Right? Especially with like a beholder, these are intelligent creatures. So it'll help. It'll be more of a challenge for your party, but it'll be so much more enjoyable if you play them with some nuance. And I know it's a lot. You guys have so many monsters to deal with, but it's worth it to have a little bit of prep for some of these monsters.
Yeah, I agree. Max, any final words for you for the night
On
on
monsters,
monsters?
I would say just it's almost like Egan's point just kind of sparked me because what I what I found was like when I was running campaign and stuff is I'd be like, oh, I totally forgot about that ability on that monster. Do you know what I mean? And like,
Yep.
so yeah, studying ahead of time, and then but also just like um maybe just it's okay. It's to stick with a monster type for a couple battles, even sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't always have to be a different monster all the time. Like if they're going through an infested area, you could be rotating between like two types of monsters,
Yep.
three types of monsters. And that way it gives you a chance to familiarize yourself and get better with the strategies that a monster might utilize so that you're actually, because challenge rating and like difficulty of against the party is a big debate
Oh, yeah,
for
absolutely.
D&D. So, learning how to utilize them properly is a part of the skill of a DM to provide challenge for your players. Um, but it also allows players to also feel like they're growing on how they deal with a monster. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like and that's a rewarding form of play as well. So
You try something, it
yeah.
didn't work. You encounter
Yeah.
these things again, you try something else. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, this is
Yeah.
pretty effective against these things, right? And you start to develop
Yeah.
some
Like the first time you
strategies and
fight oozes and you start slashing them and hitting them with lightning and they're multiplying and it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah. Or how about the fact that we couldn't do a lot of damage to some of these creatures that only took, magical weapons?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, that's a great point, Max. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's always good to look at it from the DM perspective, but are you giving your players a chance to grow,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
not just as
yeah.
characters, but actual players.
Because
So,
it is rewarding to be like, yeah, this time we had like you
yeah.
used this spell at the start and then I came in with this and we put the plan into action and like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
fun.
that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that
you're
point.
not just flying it into it with this ad hoc battle strategy all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this worked really good against these guys last time. Let's build on that, right?
Like
Yeah.
like when we fought the dire troll, honestly my thought was, well get in there. I'll just shut him down with Incapacitado again, no
Yeah.
problem. Lickety split, but it didn't work. It
Nope.
didn't
Now
work.
what?
Now what? Now I'm stuck here. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
good times.
Loved it. Great stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, we promised ourselves we'd cap the discussion at 2 episodes. I got a sneaky suspicion at some time this will probably show up again because so many awesome monsters to talk about. My little conclusion piece to sort of build on a little bit of what you guys are talking about is, for a DM, you just got to remember that in your game, they are your monsters. So turn the dials, flip the switches, upgrade, downgrade parts, make them your own. You don't have to follow what's in the book. Um, and yeah, just I mean, make the monsters your own. I really do like make sure you look at them. Like do yourself and your the rest of your table a favor and look at what that monster can do. I often make notes for myself on an encounter about the possible combinations and things that I might be able to use, especially if it's a monster that I don't use or haven't used before. Um, Fantasy Grounds, I gotta really, I mean, I'm always praising Fantasy Grounds, but the way that the combat tracker lays stuff out really helps a DM remember some of the
Yeah.
things that the monster can do because
Oh,
it's
that's
it's
cool.
all right there for you, all your
Yeah, a
possible
little drop down.
choices of
Hmm.
things you could do. So it helps you not miss one of its cool things because you just forgot about it. So yeah. Anyway. I could talk about monsters and magic. There's just so many cool things about D&D. But we better wrap this one up. We're right in the pocket here. We right around that 30 minutes. So yeah, to end, we should find my notes here. A wrap for episode 33 of Roll by Roll's Tavern Talk. Hopefully, anyone watching has enjoyed the topic. Tavern Talks occur on Thursday after each of our Saturday night Adventures in Emathan sessions. Our next session is scheduled for January 18th. For those of you watching on YouTube, please support us by making sure to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell icon so you'll get alerted the next time a session occurs. So to end the episode, guys, as has become our tradition, we'll offer up a cheers. Thanks for joining us in the tavern, and you gotta find the zone for that cup, and hopefully, oh, look at that little fella.
Oh,
It's a
little gerbil.
Christmas reindeer
Nice.
espresso mug.
Nice. All right, guys. Thanks very much, and we'll do this again soon.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.
We out.